Tonight, tariffs continue to dominate the conversation at a conference for local municipal leaders. That story and...
It's just some random John Doe making up this stuff and trying to scam people out of money.
We are seeing an uptick.
Looking for cheap car insurance, one St. John's man uncovers a scam.
The Liberals are choosing a new leader tomorrow. What's all happening right here. Tonight is about saying goodbye to the Premier. I'm Peter Cowan. I'll be live and I'll tell you what to expect coming up.
For all of our Leaf fans and Leaf Nation, this is the year. Let's keep it rolling.
I feel great about the win, but I can't get too excited yet. We need to beat the Florida Panthers next.
Leafs are flipping out following last night's big win against the Ottawa Senators, but will the Leafs go all the way? We ask the fans.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. A St. John's man recently went online to look for cheap car insurance. Instead, he thinks he found a ghost broker, someone who sells fake policies to unwitting people just looking for a good deal. Now he's speaking out, saying he wants to make sure people are aware of the potential dangers. Rob Antle reports.
And that's when it clicked, okay, so this is a complete fraud.
We're withholding his real name because of concerns about his safety. He was recently shopping around for car insurance when he connected with someone on a WhatsApp group popular with new Canadians. The offer was advertising about half what he was quoted elsewhere.
My skepticism was just going all over the place. I wasn't sure of the price. Although it seemed too good, I wanted it. But just from my experience, I knew there was something wrong going on.
The email address didn't look like it came from an actual insurance company, and there was a request for an e-transfer of hundreds of dollars to secure that rate. Red flags everywhere. He didn't take the deal.
It's just some random John Doe making up this stuff and trying to scam people out of money.
We are seeing an uptick in fake insurance and ghost brokers.
Equite Association is a national group that works with insurance companies to fight fraud.
They go out sourcing their customers, like newcomers to Canada or young drivers who's very mostly inexperienced with the insurance system or through social media.
In this province, insurance regulators and the police say they haven't yet seen any cases related to ghost brokers, but it has emerged as a problem elsewhere. Alberta issued this consumer alert about ghost brokers last fall, warning of an increase in reports of unscrupulous individuals purporting to offer automobile insurance. Back in this province, the potential scammer has moved on.
6UM1. The number you have reached is not in service.
And so has his potential victim.
Don't take the deal. I know it's going to save you a bit of money right now, but God forbid you get into a crash or there is something serious where you need your insurance, you're going to get caught eventually.
He has one key message: buyer beware.
Remember, if something's too good to be true, it is too good to be true.
Rob Antle, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, 1 year after the provincial government ordered a St. John's tent encampment to be dismantled, advocates say homelessness is still a major problem. For months, the encampment was a symbol of the housing crisis in this province. Here and Now's Daryl Roberts brings us this update.
There isn't much evidence of the tent encampment that was once here behind the Colonial Building, but former resident Greg McCain will never forget it.
Community here was great. I keep looking back because I'm picturing all the friends and stuff that we had here. This was full of tents everywhere.
Before McCain called this place home, he had been sleeping rough, on the streets, on couches, and in tents for about 5 years. Laurel Huguet volunteered here with Tent City for Change.
It was a community here, one that was messy at times, but also beautiful and supportive.
In October 2023, the city's first encampment sprung up across from Confederation Building. It was dismantled and campers moved to the Colonial Building. But the move didn't alleviate safety concerns. There was drug use and a few violent incidents. McCain also lost part of his tent to an accidental fire. And on May 3rd, police and unidentified government workers dismantled this site too.
The Department of Transportation and Infrastructure.
A year later, these signs are the only traces of the encampment entrenched here for months. But Huguet and McCain both say the encampments were more than a place to stay. They were also a protest against the housing crisis.
It was an opportunity for solidarity between people who are unhoused, folks who are precariously housed, and like people in like one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in the city, like coming together to fight for something better.
With homelessness rising since the end of the pandemic, Premier Andrew Furey struck a task force to address homelessness. The provincial government leased this hotel and turned it into transitional housing, which End Homelessness St. John's now runs.
Because there's simply not enough housing to go around, and where are people going to go? So the option is a lot of the time for people to sleep rough in encampments.
The acting housing minister says they're trying to build more homes, with over 200 units under construction.
Everyone wins when there's more housing. There's, downward pressure on rental rates. There's more choice for people, more options. And so I think everyone wins, and that is really the focus, is more housing options.
I'm doing really good now that I'm off the street.
Meanwhile, Greg McCain has found a safe place to live, but he still thinks about the people left behind.
I've done it before, like with a blanket and on cardboard. It's hard, I don't know, because I've been off the street now only about 3 months, and my heart goes out to them. I don't know how I done it, but it's cold, man.
While Tent City is gone, End Homelessness St. John says homelessness hasn't gone away. It's just less visible. Daryl Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Tariffs are top of mind for municipalities in this province. As part of its convention in Gander, Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador addressed the uncertainty related to U.S. tariffs. Troy Turner has that story.
For months, businesses and consumers have been grappling with how Donald Trump's tariffs will hit their bottom line. Municipalities in this province will also have to contend with them and with the economic stability and uncertainty tariffs bring.
It's taken a little bit longer for municipalities to really grasp what the impacts on our communities are going to be from a municipal standpoint. We're hearing how it could affect our residents with regards to businesses and how they do business, and our residents who work in various industries who are being affected.
At the Municipalities NL conference in Gander, economic uncertainty is front and center, and the changing global tariffs are forcing towns to think about what they buy and how.
We're affected by the same things as any business would be, supply chain issues with whatever we use in the day-to-day activities of public works, piping for municipal infrastructure. We're affected by the tendering process.
Meanwhile, smaller communities in this province say they may require support.
The biggest concerns we have will be related to the chemicals and things that we get for our water supply and to maintain those, and also any replacement materials that we have to purchase, because let's face it, a lot of that comes from U.S. suppliers. We're looking more or less to provincial leadership and to see what comes down the pipes there.
I don't think anybody knows yet what the effect is going to be. We're hoping it's not going to be much of an effect. We're in a smaller town. We haven't got a whole lot of business or industry in our area, so hopefully it's not going to affect us very much.
It seems that people in the U.S. are fed up with it, and we're now ready to get back to that more standard model of negotiation. So hopefully that's where we end up in the coming months.
We just need to carry on and work together and concentrate on local and Canadian, and we'll get it done.
Delegates at the Municipalities Conference were also encouraged to tariff-proof themselves, to look at their procurement policies and to try to buy from local businesses. The MNL Symposium wraps up Saturday. Troy Turner, CBC News, Gander.
Late this afternoon, ahead of tomorrow's Liberal leadership race, Premier Andrew Furey made a shuffle to his cabinet. In a statement shortly after 4:30 p.m., the Premier's office announced Steve Crocker will be taking on another portfolio. Crocker is already the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Arts and Recreation. Now he's also the acting Minister of Industry, Energy and Technology, taking over for MHA Andrew Parsons, who announced his immediate resignation yesterday. Well, in less than 24 hours, we'll know who will be the next Premier of the province. Liberals from across Newfoundland and Labrador are in St. John's this weekend for a leadership convention. The CBC's Peter Cowan will host our live coverage tomorrow, and he joins us now. So, Peter, what can we expect tonight?
Well, tonight is all about saying goodbye to Andrew Furey, the last Premier, and some friends and family are here. I just was chatting with his dad. Former Premier Dwight Ball is also here in the crowd. This is a good gathering of Liberals, but they're also doing some of the strong arming for who will become the next Premier. So, for example, over here we've got John Abbott's folks who are, last chance to hand out some brochures and buttons. And if we head down this way, we've actually got John Hogan's crew are busy handing out a few things. We'll just squeeze by here. Oh, Premier's Chief of Staff, as they do a bit of strong arming. And officially the room isn't open yet, but let's sneak inside here, and I want to show you what things look like. This is where they're going to be doing all of the tributes tonight, and then also tomorrow on this stage they will announce who becomes that next Premier.
So, Peter, when the new Liberal leader is elected, how soon will he officially become Premier?
Well, the answer is not right away. So, officially, Andrew Furey will continue to be Premier until whichever John is sworn in. So that could take up to a week or so. There's some transition things. He needs to figure out who his new cabinet is. He needs to figure out the staff in his office. They will have done some of that planning ahead, but once you officially are chosen as Liberal leader, that's when they'll be able to work on all of those transition things. So it'll probably be a little while longer, but we'll find out tomorrow who that person will be, starting at 2:30, 2 o'clock in most of Labrador. And don't forget, there are some people who have a few thoughts on what they would do as Premier. We hit the streets, so here's what they had to say.
Newfoundland and Labrador is getting a new Premier soon. So I'm asking people, if you were Premier, what would you change?
Oh, whoa, I wasn't ready for this question. I don't know, I'd probably pave my road.
What's the first thing you would change? I'd lower gas prices.
Lower the price for everything.
I do like what they're going to do with the ferries, quite possibly. I just make it totally free so people have easy access to go on and off the island.
Like, even if minimum wage, it is way too expensive to survive. People are suffering. People like waitresses and bartenders and like people with small businesses, like they're struggling. So I think that's what I would change, is prices of things, or like taxes, and lower them.
It's difficult to ask a politician that question on a Sunday. I'm going to go with my wife's answer, the weather.
What's the first thing that I would change? In Newfoundland and Labrador, crime, and when you are arrested, to have programs in place in employment and drug rehabilitation.
Homelessness and drug addiction.
I would create more daycare spaces for working families.
And especially for infants, because mommies need to come back to work.
I would definitely do some stuff with the fishery, make sure that people are getting paid what they're worth.
I grew up around fishery my whole life, and every fisherman I've known, they work so hard at it and they're just not compensated the way they should be.
Well, probably try to fix the healthcare system or change the healthcare system.
Wait times at all of our emergencies all across the province.
Well, I have a friend who's a GP, and he does 50 home visits a week. They force him to spend extra time filling out extra forms, and when he should be visiting more patients. So we really should look at that. That's the first thing I would do.
All over the next couple of days, we have a little bit of a roller coaster in when the temperatures, we've got much cooler air by the time we get into Monday. And then as we head into next week, that ridge dominates and some milder air will move in. We could be talking about temperatures in the high teens, potentially even the 20s. I'll break that down coming up.
television rooms and backyard sheds were rocking last night as the Toronto Maple Leafs beat out the Ottawa Senators. Here Now's Colleen Connors found the biggest Leafs fans on her side of the island and was shown one of the best ways to watch the game.
Gilmore's my favorite
This is the basement of one big Toronto fan. The walls are coated with memorabilia.
Got a guitar here, electric guitar here. It's all signed by the entire team.
Brian Button was on his feet for Game 6, the battle of the Ontario teams. A tense nail-biter of a game that finished in dramatic fashion, with Toronto scoring on Ottawa's empty net.
You know, I thought I heard something. Was that you yelling from Fort Basque? Like, I'm sure that was you.
It probably was. There was a lot of noise. I can make a lot of noise for one person.
Button's been a fan all his life. He's a collector of hundreds of signed jerseys and posters. The pieces he holds most dear came from Leafs president Brendan Shanahan when he sent boxes of sweaters and hats and coats following the devastating Fiona disaster. Many lost all their belongings and keepsakes in the post-tropical storm.
Sure.
It stands on the wall. It's over there. It's the one from Brendan Shanahan and the letter that he wrote, and that one is probably a prized position that sits in my man cave.
I had that here 15 years or 20 years ago.
In Corner Brook, Donald Doman proudly dons his prized Maple Leafs jacket. For 35 years, he's been taking care of the bowling alley. This 20-year-old coat, he calls it his maintenance jacket.
Oh, the game was excellent. It was close, and it was nail-biting for a long time.
And Doman has the perfect setup for game night.
Usually I go up in my shed, light the fire, put the game on, and watch the game by myself because I like to concentrate on the game.
Doman has been a huge Leafs fan since the age of 4 and grew up playing hockey at the old Humber Garden Stadium. These fans won't let the haters kill their joy. Both say they're sticking with the Leafs through thick and thin.
I feel great about the win, but I can't get too excited yet. We need to beat the Florida Panthers next.
Okay, and what are the chances of that, you think?
I think it's good. We got a good goaltender, and we're playing really well, so who knows?
It's probably one of the lighter moments. If you can enjoy this type of stuff, it's not a big lot for us. We're not the ones that are on the ice, but here's the moments where we can take a bit of time and, take a little few shots at each other and have a bit of fun with it, and that's the way I look at it. So at the end of the day, if I can take a shot at a Sens fan or a Habs fan and give them a little bit of grief because they're sitting on the outside, well, I'll take my shots now and enjoy it.
Go Leafs, go!
It's a go, Leafs, go. Okay, so let's move it to the next round.
The Leafs will meet the gritty Florida Panthers in the second round, expected to start Monday. The team hasn't had a series win since 2023, before being beat out by Florida, which means fans aren't counting them out just yet. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
Yay!
It's good. I'm glad the Canadian team made it past. So,
Are you a Toronto fan?
I am. They're my second favorite team.
Yeah, did you watch the game last night?
Oh, I watched the game last night.
Yeah. Are you a Toronto fan?
Biggest Toronto fan.
Okay, and what were your thoughts going into the game?
I thought they were going to lose the game because they've been losing 2 straight. So, and if they lost the next game, they're going to lose it again.
How do you feel about them making it past the first round?
Very happy. Very happy.
Close game. Probably Toronto was a little better. Ottawa give it a good run. Young team, be around for a few years.
And do you think they're going to go? How far do you think they're going to go?
I think that's the last series Toronto will win this year.
Wow, I thought it was okay. Hey, any Canadian team wins, it's a good thing.
How far do you think they're going to go?
Like to see them go to the finals, but this second round's going to be hard because Panthers, we usually play them either first or second round, so I don't know. We'll see this round, I guess.
I'm really happy for them. I love Toronto. Austin Matthews, the GOAT. So yeah, I'm really happy. Yeah.
Yeah, and what were your feelings last night when you watched them win?
Man, I was happy. I thought Ottawa were gonna come back, but Toronto really showed them.
And how far do you think they're gonna make it in the playoffs?
I think they're gonna win it all. Toronto, come on now, they deserve it.
Well, before we get to the forecast, take a look at this video from Labrador. Clarence Curl saw a polar bear running down the road and then scrambling up the rocks just outside of St. Louis this afternoon. This video was taken near the brook. And I mean, talk about an up-close encounter. Isn't that incredible?
That is very close.
Yeah, I was very close.
Yeah. And speaking of being up close with like big white things, like polar bears.
Yeah.
Last night we were talking about icebergs.
Yes, we
and
were.
wondering how many of them are out there. You had a look at that, right?
I did, yeah. There's quite a few out there. Now, they're very far off at the moment, but let's take a look at this chart here. So this gives you an idea of how many icebergs are in and around the area off the coast there. Now, each of these is 100 square kilometers, so there's a lot of, it's a lot of space. So there really aren't that many icebergs that are close at the moment, but we can see them just off the coast there of Labrador's one area, seeing about 62, 14 there, 10 off the northern peninsula. So there certainly are some icebergs out there, but it's just we'll see how close they get to shore so that we can see them. And hopefully we see some this year, that's for sure. Taking a look at what's happening right now, one of the factors really is the wind. Right now we've got more of a northerly flow pushing some of that ice a little bit further offshore for now. And we are really, over the next little bit anyway, going to hang on to some of the more southerly winds, which is going to bring some nicer weather, but it's also going to push that ice further offshore. So we'll continue to see that this weekend. Nice ridge of high pressure today, keeping the skies relatively clear for a good chunk of Labrador, parts of the west coast, and then eventually we did see some clearing here in the east, but we do have our next weather maker moving in, and that's already bringing that cloud cover and even some showers to parts of the west coast. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, coastal areas of Labrador seeing around the 0 degree mark, a little warmer though in Mary's Harbour at 6 degrees right now. Happy Valley Goose Bay at +9. And then temperatures really vary across the island. We're looking at temperatures around 10 to 13 degrees from Badger through to Deer Lake. Even St. Lawrence, the Burin Peninsula, 11 degrees right now. Here in that onshore flow, though, those northerly winds much cooler along the northeast coast, about 3 degrees in Bonavista Vista. So it is a bit of a warm up in some cases from where we were sitting yesterday, about 5 degrees warmer in Corner Brook, even Happy Valley Goose Bay, 8 degrees warmer right now. And really, you're basically going to expect a little bit of a roller coaster ride over the next little bit, especially through the weekend and into next week as well. So taking a look at what's going on right now, there are some showers and even some flurries showing up there, but I think what's going to fall because of those temperatures at the moment will fall as showers. But this is a little bit ahead of schedule for tonight, so we can expect this to continue to track across the island as we head through the overnight. But yeah, again, according to the future tracker, we're a couple of hours ahead of schedule. So we will continue to see that track across southern areas of the island tonight. This will bring some snow up across Labrador yet again, starting in the west and then spreading towards central areas of Labrador by the time we get into tomorrow morning. And we'll likely start the day tomorrow with some showers in the east as well through parts of central. Don't be surprised to see that either. Overall, overnight lows tonight will hover around the 0 degree mark, a little bit below, maybe a little bit above as well. And the winds will start to ease through the overnight as well. Temperature-wise, we're looking across Labrador anywhere from about -1 to -6. Then into tomorrow, once we see those showers, at least for the first part of the day, we should see some sunshine. It will be generally cloudy, but don't be surprised to see a few peaks of sun in the mix. We'll turn to more southerly winds, which will bring some milder air in with it. But up across Labrador, still looking at the potential for some flurries, light snow, changing over to either showers or periods of rain into the afternoon as the temperatures warm up. Along southern areas of the island tomorrow, those southerly winds are going to keep those temperatures on the cool side. Expect rain, drizzle, and fog. Otherwise, from the west coast through central to the east, we are looking at daytime highs somewhere between 9 and 12 degrees. Again, those winds out of the south around 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Northern Peninsula, your temperatures will sit in the single digits. That will be the case up across Labrador as well. A little bit more windy though. Those gusts will be around 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. There are some teen temperatures in the forecast, and I'll break that one down for you coming up a little later.
Well, this province will soon have a new premier. 14,000 Liberals are now voting for their next party leader, and the winner will be announced on Saturday in St. John's. John Abbott and John Hogan are competing to be Andrew Furey's successor and the 15th premier of the province. So how exactly does this process work? Joining me now is Judy Morrow, who chairs the Leadership Election Committee. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Carolyn.
So now that the federal election is over and we can all turn our attention to this consequential election, tell us about what's going to be happening and how this voting process works.
Well, first of all, it's been a very busy political time throughout the country and here in the province as well. There's been 2 leadership races and a federal election, but this is a very important race for our party and for the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. So the voting process will end by 12 noon on Saturday, the 3rd. And at 2 o'clock, we will start an event that, within a 45, 50-minute period, we will announce who the next premier and leader of the party is going to be. And then we'll take it from there. So it really is an exciting time for the party and for the people of the province, and a very, very important, pivotal time in our history as well, Carolyn.
Hey, now I mentioned that 14,000 registered Liberals are voting here. How is the voting process done?
So we have 14,000 people who are eligible to vote, and they have been voting since the 24th of April. And it's either by, they would receive either by email or by regular mail a PIN number that they would then entitle them to vote either by telephone or by electronic means. The whole province, all 40 districts are equally weighted. So no one district is more important or gets any more weight than any other district. So each district is allotted 1,000 points. And then what happens is that the points will be prorated based upon the percentage of shares that each of the candidates receive. And then the first person to 20,001 points is the successful candidate.
Right. So if a candidate gets like 75% of the vote from Liberals in Cape St. Francis, that gives them 750 points, right?
Exactly.
So you just go through all of the 40 districts and then just add them up.
Right. And that gives every district, big or small, obviously some of our districts are more heavily populated. Some districts are easier to get around geographically. Some districts are, much smaller in size, in geography than some others. But every single district gets the same attention in this leadership race. And that's something I think is really important, so that you have a broad supportive group from across the province and from all 40 districts. A very strong representation throughout the whole province, and that the new leader and the new premier will avail of that support throughout the province. And of course, that will also gender support as we move into a provincial election.
Mm-hmm. Just curious, do you have any predictions on when that provincial election may be called?
No, I don't. I mean, I can speculate like anybody else, but I do think that our new leader will take some time to determine that and to determine what would be the best timing. I think there's a lot of, volunteers, political volunteers out there now that have been engaged in a federal leadership race and a federal election and now this provincial leadership race. So, and of course, we're coming up on the summer months. So I wouldn't dare presuppose what the new leader will do and the new premier will do, but put it this way, we will be, as the administrative side of the party, we will be ready regardless, and be certainly gearing up to take his lead on, when he wants to call and move forward from there.
Right. We'll see how it all shakes out on Saturday and who the 15th premier of the province will be. Judy Morrow, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
You're kindly welcome. Thank you.
And a reminder that CBCNL is bringing you live coverage of tomorrow's Liberal Leadership Convention. It all kicks off 2:30 Island time, 2 o'clock in most of Labrador. I'll be there with Peter Cowan as we find out who will become the 15th Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador and lead the party into the next election. You can watch on CBC television or anywhere you stream CBC News. We'll also be live on CBC Radio.
Look at that one over there.
Is this good?
Yeah, a little bit more. That felt good.
Therapeutic almost. There's a wrestling ring down there. What's that about?
This is wild.
Monday is Red Dress Day, Canada's National Day of Awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people. MUN's Grenfell campus held an event this week and filled the Arts and Science atrium with local high school students and other community members.
Today we decided to partner with the Public Service Alliance of Canada to roll in an event that honored two events that are happening in May. So one is the upcoming Day of Awareness for Missing and Murdered Indigenous women and girls. That's happening on May 5th. And also the national campaign for the Moose Eye campaign, which is a violence prevention campaign that is a very grassroots campaign that's really expanded throughout Canada and speaks to the importance of violence prevention and safety for our women. So that day is celebrated and acknowledged on May 15th.
We all need to start taking notice. We all need to be a part of the solution. So it's really important to bring that awareness to the public. Our youth are our future generations, and if they're not taught the importance of good relationships, then we're going to have the same outcomes that we have now.
We're really, really thrilled that the Corner Brook Regional High School partnered with us and decided to join us here today.
The red dresses that are hanging, every one of them represents one of our women. And it's really important to have that visual, you know, to let them know this is not, like I said, these dresses are not garments. They're not a fixture. They're representing every loved one that's been lost.
Our efforts have to be collective. And I think that really, you know, the number here kind of encapsulated our collective efforts towards these initiatives. So not any one person, no Indigenous group can do this work alone. We need everyone. This work takes us all.
Well, ahead of tomorrow's Liberal Leadership Convention, Peter Cowan sat down with his local political panel. They've been weighing in on the federal election for us, but we're asking what influence Monday's election might have at the provincial level as the Liberals get ready to pick a new premier.
We're going to have a new premier on Saturday, and as part of this, both of the candidates running have said they've kind of hinted that they might want to pull the trigger on a provincial election before the fall fixed date. But taking a look at the rise of the Conservatives, what do you think that does to the dynamics provincially? Eugene?
Well, and that's carried through from the recent by-election wins that the provincial PCs had. So I think it's going to, I mean, on May 3rd, I'm sure right now they're worried about Saturday, but I'm sure on Saturday night, the first thing that's going to be top of mind for the new premier is when do we go? I think personally that we'll be seeing a provincial election sooner rather than later.
Why's that?
Because right now, no matter, even if you fear the rise of the Blues and the Conservatives and the Progressive Conservatives, and I champion it, I don't fear it, but I think part of the reason Prime Minister Carney got elected is he's a blank slate. He's all things to all people at the time. He's fairly new, so no one's done a deep dive. He's going to have to pick a lane on some issues in the next 6 months, whether it be healthcare transfers or other, that right now everyone can find something in his portfolio they can get behind. But he's going to have to make decisions. And when he does, he's not going to keep that entire coalition, I think he's at 43, 44% this morning. It's going to be trouble to keep that together, especially in the context of Newfoundland and Labrador, while Prime Minister Carney is worried about Quebec and other parts of the country. And so if you start to see that Liberal number dip, it's going to raise some concerns, I think, for our new Premier.
If I'm a Liberal Premier, looking at this rise in the Conservative seats, like, I don't think you can have a Liberal government that doesn't have a rural Liberal seat somewhere. Like that they've got to be looking at that going, ooh, where do we have a chance now? And I'm sure that many volunteers and stuff are also a little tired today. Like, I'm sure they're all going, oh no, don't pull the plug yet. But can we do the barbecue circuit, please? And also we also have the Canada Games coming. And the municipal election is, the date is October 2nd. Yeah. So where are they going to land there? So I don't have a prediction for you. But
Scott, when you look at the fact that the Liberals provincially and federally are fairly well aligned, like we're seeing a lot of provincial Liberals out campaigning in the federal election, then of course they've also have the leadership race that some people were volunteering there. How much of a concern is volunteer fatigue when you're trying to figure out things like this time?
Oh, it's massive. I've noticed it dwindle over the years to a point now where it's they're hiring outside companies to do telephone calls when you had banks of phones in a small little office up in Bunyan's Cove somewhere, and that's where you did it from. Well, now it's more centralized. Yes, they can do that technically, but also it's a reflection of the volunteer base. What's What I find is interesting, I've also noticing people volunteering provincially, but not federally. Obviously more conservative than it is, and that's no reflection on it being bad or anything. But
But there's more of a division between the provincial and the federal.
Between the two. What I find interesting about this, what's going to be interesting with this provincial election coming up, I can say these things. I can make the door is open for a federal conservative fortress around parts of Newfoundland outside of the Avalon Peninsula. But I don't know where it sits with the provincial side of things. We have very popular Liberal incumbents, Derek Bennett, Elvis Lovelace, but you also have PC incumbents who are popular, Chris Tiz, Pleeman Forsey. So I think what I'm interested to see is the dynamic of a leader, because that's one of the big things that happened in this election. We tried it in 2004. We tried to rebrand Paul Martin as something different from Chrétien. Didn't go so well, if you recall. Now they have. Carney has resurrected the Liberal brand into a government. Just more seats, in a better situation than Trudeau found himself in. So what happens with either Abbott or Hogan? Do they carry that same dynamic? Will they be able to change the needle on certain things?
And especially when the provincial Liberals have been Team Fury in the previous by-elections, and they've gone really big on that branding, and now you're coming in with someone who's not going to have that same brand recognition that certainly Andrew Fury.
And Fury's brand was strong, too.
It was strong. There's also, if they can find that policy platform provincially where they can make a big cut from Fury to cut their own path. And I don't really know if that exists in terms of what I've seen from the two candidates so far, whereas they can really make a name for themselves. And if they can't, once again, it gives more credence to them going early, because they don't want that spotlight on the fact that it's same old, same old.
Well, listen, I appreciate all of three of you coming in, sharing your insights during this campaign. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is going to meet U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House next week. The Prime Minister made the announcement at a press conference today. It's a high-stakes meeting because of the trade war between Canada and the United States. Carney says he's expecting to have, quote, difficult but constructive talks in Washington on Tuesday.
You go to these meetings well prepared, understanding the objectives of your counterpart, and always acting in the best interest of Canada, and we'll go from there.
Well, Carney says his priorities will be discussing tariffs and Canada's broader relationship with the United States. Political observers say the meeting could set the stage for negotiations on a new trade and security pact between the two countries. And King Charles will deliver Canada's speech from the throne at the end of the month. Buckingham Palace has announced that he and Queen Camilla will be here for the opening of Parliament. Prime Minister Mark Carney called the visit, quote, an historic honor that matches the weight of our times. Carney also says the visit underscores the Canadian sovereignty, an apparent reference to U.S. President Donald Trump's threats to annex Canada. The royals will arrive on May 26th, one day before the king addresses Parliament. The speech from the throne outlines the government's priorities for the session. The Governor General usually reads the speech as the monarch's representative, but not always. Queen Elizabeth delivered the speech twice in 1957 and again in 1977 during her Silver Jubilee. Well, it's Friday, so let's find out who's celebrating. Happy 53rd anniversary to Colleen and Albert Dobbin of Little Bay. Wishing Alonzo and Vera Reed of Chapel Arm a happy 50th anniversary. Happy 52nd anniversary to Bonnie and Wayne Hewitt of Gander. Congratulations to Aidan and Gloria Noonan from Beta Verde, who are marking 56 years of marriage. Wishing John and Elsie Toop of Portugal Cove a very happy 68th anniversary. Happy 50th anniversary tomorrow to Chess and Janet Parsons from Heart's Delight. Happy 61st anniversary to Agnes and Lee Pittman of Cartwright. Happy anniversary to Bob and Dorothy Yetman in Clarenville. They've been married for 64 years. Congratulations to Glenn and Joan Hooper, who celebrate their 51st anniversary tomorrow. They live in Campbellton. Now to some birthdays. Wishing Flora Canning of Comfort Cove, Newstead, a happy 97th birthday. Gerald Wheeler is celebrating his 90th birthday. He lives in Corner Brook. Best wishes to Edward Adams. He celebrated his 93rd birthday yesterday. Happy birthday to Christine Duffinet on her 101st birthday. She's from the Bay St. George area and now lives in London, Ontario. Happy 91st birthday to William Parsons. He lives in Summerside. Happy 90th birthday to Charlie Tuck of Manuals. He celebrated yesterday. Happy 97th birthday to Abigail Kendall in Grand Falls, Windsor. Donald Noble of Gander Bay is celebrating his 94th birthday, and wishing Lucy Earle of St. Lunaire a very happy 93rd birthday. We're told she watches every night. Thank you so much for that. Another fine crowd. Congratulations once again. So, Ashley, we're going to look at the long-range forecast, skipping ahead to Sunday. How are things looking on Sunday?
A little rainy in some cases, especially in the east, but there's going to be some mild temperatures as well, which will be nice. Let's take a look at what's going on. So unsettled for the south coast. And then as we head into the morning hours, there's a chance that most of eastern Newfoundland will wake up to some rain. But up across Labrador and the rest of the island, it's going to be fairly dry, at least to start. We will likely see some sunshine for a good portion of the Big Land. And then as we head into the afternoon, we'll see the potential for some flurries moving back in for Lab West, and then another round of showers likely developing along the south coast, and then eventually affecting the eastern portion of the island through the day with some showers and flurry activity late day across the Big Land. Temperatures should reach between 10 to 16 degrees from the west coast through to the Avalon, and then through central. That will likely be where the warmest temperatures are. Single digits, but mid-single digits for the northern peninsula. That's the case up across most of Labrador as well, except around 1 to 2 degrees for the north and west. Now, as we head into Monday, we see a change in the temperatures. We'll be back to a more northerly flow. That's going to bring the risk of some showers or flurries in the morning for the western portion of the island, northern peninsula, southeastern Labrador. Otherwise, some sunshine to start the day on Monday east. The eastern half of the island. Labrador, you'll generally stay cloudy. There's a slight chance in the evening, depending on where this tracks, we could see some snow for the north coast. But for most of the day, it should actually be some sunshine. But again, on the cooler side, so still in the single digits on the plus side of the mercury, but somewhere between 3 and 6 degrees across the Big Land, and about 3 and 8 across the island. And again, don't be surprised to see a few showers in the mix there as well as the day goes on. Now, looking ahead to the long range forecast. Now, these numbers might be a little bit conservative, but at this point, we are looking at some sunshine for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, some cloudy periods, but temperatures should warm up somewhere between 11 to 13 degrees. They may be a little warmer than that, especially through parts of central. Take a look at these numbers. So 16 degrees is what I have in the forecast now. We may see a few showers by the time we get into Wednesday, but temperatures, this is when we should see the warmest of the week. Likely on Wednesday through central, some areas may reach the 20-degree mark. So we're going to keep an eye on that. For western Newfoundland, your temperatures are going to warm up quite nicely as well. Like I said, Monday you may see a few flurries to start, but it should should turn into a decent day, and then between 12 and 16 degrees by the time we get into midweek. Eastern Labrador, you're also going to see your temperatures in the teens, around 16 degrees, dropping a little bit on Wednesday, but still pretty nice. And we'll see not quite as warm in Western Labrador, but about 3 degrees by the time we get into Wednesday. We've been seeing quite a bit of rain. That's true. Definitely a good day to be a duck.
Yeah.
And this one is an American black duck enjoying the pond there. Thank you to Mike for that great photo. Oh, how cute.
Oh, it's lovely.
It is. If you have any weather photos, you can share them with us by sending them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
All right, it's pretty nice looking forecast there on the island.
Pretty decent.
Lots of double digits in there.
For now, yeah. I'm liking the southerly flow. Hopefully it doesn't switch.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
I'll let you know when it does.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow is going to be a very interesting day, of course, because we're going to have a new premier of the province. The Liberals will choose their new leader. And just a reminder that we will bring you live coverage of tomorrow's Liberal Leadership Convention. It starts at 2:30 Island time, 2 o'clock in most of Labrador. Peter Cowan will be there. I'll be there. And we'll find out who will become premier. Hope you can join us then. Good night.
Good night.